Hey everybody, welcome back to The Pressing Matters. I'm Scott. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. One of the most exciting announcements for classical vinyl lovers of last year was that Decca Classical was going to embark on their own audiophile reissue series done in-house called Decca Pure Analogue. Well, the first three titles are here, so I'm going to show them to you today. We're going to discuss the series. We're going to discuss the objective of the series, talk about the mastering, the sourcing, the extra things that are going into this series, as well as the jackets and pressing plants and so forth. I can tell you that I've heard all three of these, and I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed with the sound. I'm going to save musical commentary and sonic evaluations and comparisons for their own individual reviews, which will be coming up shortly. I already have one original here that I'm ready to compare with one of these titles. So we'll get into that in just a moment. I wanted to say that, you know, the Decca catalog is so rich and full of wonderful, wonderful material going back, wow, to the mono era, into the full frequency stereophonic sound era, and beyond that. Treasure, just absolute treasure from the 60s and early 70s. There have been other companies that have tried to do this in recent years, but both kind of petered out after a while. One was this Speaker's Corner series. So I have one here. This is a fancy one. It was a 4x45 that they did. Of Mendelssohn in Scotland. The Speaker's Corner reissues are really well done, and they delve deep into the early catalog to retrieve some wonderful titles, and they are highly recommended. They're wonderful. Another company that did a series, although they based it on the London covers, but of course these are Decca recordings, is ORG, and their 2x45 series cut by Bernie Grundman. So this series went along for a little while. Great titles, wonderful pressings, great masterings, but there seemed to be a little lag in interest of this. So I don't know if it was the 45s, having to flip the music so much or what, but 2,500 copies of each, unless it was like one of the hottest titles, were lingering around for years. So they decided to end that series, and that was unfortunate. But now we have Decca's own in-house analog sourced reissue series called Decca Pure Analogue. Here's the first one. They all have a hype sticker here. It says Decca Pure Analogue, the all analog vinyl series. Iconic recordings from the Decca and Philips archives. You have to remember that Decca is a conglomerate that bought a lot of different labels. So there's a lot of potential, even beyond Philips and Decca, for titles to release in this series. This one's an interesting one. They chose the Rite of Spring, Georg Solti, Stravinsky's Rite of Spring. This is kind of a surefire hit for any new series. The original Source series from Deutsche Grammophon also did the Rite of Spring in their first slate of releases. Speaking of that series, this series is very much modeled after that. So they are being cut at Emil Berliner Studios by Rainier Maillard and Sidney Meyer. So that's the same. What's different here is they've chosen to press at Pallas rather than Optimal. And I think that's a really good thing because Optimal was having some issues with that particular series. People were getting a little bit upset to the point where they weren't buying new titles, and that could be the death knell for a series. So they went with Pallas, and I can say that everything I've heard so far has been much better than the optimal pressings on the Deutsche Grammophon series. So that's very good. Let's take a look at the jacket here. I have This is the one I have an original of. So this is the London original of the Rite of Spring. They went with, of course, the UK cover art, which is more interesting. I really like this better than this more modern kind of look. But it's in a gatefold jacket like this. This was recorded at Medina Hall in Chicago Symphony Orchestra. What sets this apart is the program was short enough that they decided to cut it at 45. So you'll notice in each of these reissues that I'm going to show you today that there is an extra feature, something that pushes it beyond what was available before. And for this one, it is cutting it at 45. So they were able to do this on a single disc and keep it sounding great and actually sounding possibly better than the original issue, which was cut at 33. The jacket is very similar to what you saw in the original Source series. It's a matte jacket. I don't think it's the anti-scuff finish that you've been hearing about in the Analog Production series, but they're very good and they're printed very well. Let's look and see what is in here. I think there's an insert. Yeah. Each of these has an insert like this. So has Decca Pure Analogue in gold up here, a nice story about the recording, any issues that they've had or sourcing issues. And here's a chart from the producers or the engineers, of course, a photo of Solti there. And each reissue has one of these in it, which is nice. They've also taken great care to reproduce the correct label. In this case, it is the narrowband FFSS label. So that's accurate. There was no wideband of this to my knowledge, at least in the UK. So yeah, that's a great reissue, a good choice from what I would call the classic era. The classic era is the analog era. So that ended in probably 78 or 9. And this came in 74. So I can't wait to compare that to this. This is the London US edition of that record. This is a great recording done by Kenneth Wilkinson. So it also has that pedigree as well. How it holds up to other versions of the Rite of Spring? Well, there's many versions of that. And it would take a lot of listening to figure out which one's your favorite. But I've always liked this one for at least its sonic quality. So it'll be interesting to delve deeper into that when it comes up to its own video. The second one is Sibelius, Symphonies number 5 and 7, and Tapiola. So this is the Boston Symphony Orchestra with Colin Davis. It's recorded in Boston Symphony Hall. This is part of a famous cycle on Philips. So this is the first one that we're seeing on Philips. And it says here it's cut from a 4-track master. So this was originally recorded for quad and it was released in stereo. This is an all analog cut. And what they've done here to set this apart, the original issue did not have Tapiola on it. It had the 2 symphonies squeezed onto one disc, and one side was about 35 minutes long. So this expands it to 2 discs. So there's no break that is jarring at all. It's 2 movements on the first side, the 3rd movement on the second side, the other symphony on the 3rd side, and Tapiola on the 4th. So it works out really well. You see some photos of the tape boxes here, and inside we get the insert, which looks like this. And it tells the story of the quad recording. The jacket looks wonderful, by the way. It really looks good on this matte finish. I saw some earlier jackets that had extra color up in here, but after a while they dropped that and just went with a solid purple color, and it looks great. This is really beautiful. This is on the Philips label. So as I said, they really did pay attention to reproducing these labels perfectly. And that's your Philips label. Yeah, it looks really, really good. It's such a delight to hold these and like, wow, I can't believe this is happening again. Yeah, this is a very welcome release here, Sibelius. Now the third one is an interesting one too. This is called New Year's Concert in Vienna. And it's Willy Boskovsky who took over doing these concerts and stayed there for like 25 years. This is an interesting one because this was issued at the dawn of digital. So it was the first digital issue, I believe, from Decca. And that's how it's been available all this time. However, Decca had the foresight to run an analog tape alongside their new digital technology, which by today's standards is pretty primitive. And they had a fresh analog tape to work with. So that was sent to Emil Berliner Studios, and they cut this for the first time all analog. It's a 2-record set at 33. So a lot of Strauss on here. It's definitely a Vienna music festival, and it's a big deal. They did it every year on New Year's, and it's wonderful. So that's how that one stands out over previous reissues. You know, overall, I got to say, everyone's going to find a choice among these three that they would like to try. My first instinct was to go for the Rite of Spring, being a sonic blockbuster and one of the more vintage recordings. I thought, well, that would be a perfect one for me. But I decided to try all three. The Sibelius, you know, is a classic, and I can't wait to delve more into that one. And even, you know, even the New Year's Day concert, which normally isn't my cup of tea, I enjoyed listening to it. I got through a couple sides so far, and the sound was really good. And the performances were exemplary. So, you know, I think this series has a lot of potential. There's going to be more and more. I hope they delve deeper into the earlier Decca catalog to bring out some treasures there. And I'm wondering if we're going to see anything from some of the other labels that are involved with Decca, like Argo, like Mercury, possibly. Mercury is part of the deal with Philips, as far as I understand. So there is the potential for that too. All in all, this is a very exciting series. I hope you'll stay with me as I move through these and drill down on the performance and the sound quality. Until next time, I'm Scott for the Pressing Matters. Let me know what you think about this series in the comments, and have a great day.